Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best and most interesting news from the area and provides local weather for the Four Corners region. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
Monday's news is live here at noon, rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8, and rerun on Thursday at noon, 2:30 and 8. Today is October 24th, 2016. Now, here's the news. Reported in the Cortez Journal, a three-car crash on U.S. Highway 160 on Friday left one man in critical condition and shut down the highway near the Montezuma County Fairgrounds, according to the Colorado State Patrol. The vehicles involved were a pickup truck pulling a pop-up camper, a white Jeep, and a gold Buick, according to Trooper Alicia Danko of the State Patrol's Public Affairs Office. According to State Patrol Captain Adrian Driscoll, the crashes occurred at the Four Corners Rifle and Pistol Club as an eastbound Jeep driven by Joshua Seymour, 32 of Cortez, was making a left turn into the gun range parking lot. The eastbound pickup truck, driven by Cruz Rivas, 20 of Cortez, rear-ended the Jeep and veered into the westbound lane, where it collided with the oncoming gold Buick driven by Keenan Elliott, 21 of Cortez. Elliott was transported to a hospital in Grand Junction in critical condition, Driscoll said. More details are forthcoming, Driscoll said, after the accident report has been filed. The accident occurred at 3:15 p.m. and closed the highway until about 5 p.m. The rush hour traffic was backed up for miles while officers cleared the scene. About 4 p.m., drivers headed west to Cortez detoured around the crash site by driving towards North Dolores on Colorado Highway 184. About 4:45 p.m., drivers heading east and west on US 160 were being allowed past the crash site in traffic that alternated on a single lane. The Journal will continue to provide updates as information becomes available.
According to the Cortez Journal, a 27-year-old Durango man died of an apparent drug overdose early Friday morning at his home. It didn't look like foul play, and he didn't have any medical conditions, La Plata County Coroner Jan Smith said about the death of Franklin Coakley. It seems likely it was an overdose, but we'll know more after the autopsy on Tuesday. A final ruling on cause of death probably won't be issued until toxicology results are available, which usually takes several weeks, she said. Kolke, who moved to Durango in June, lived with friends on East 3rd Avenue. He was active in the acting community, said Michelle Martinez, general manager of the Strader Hotel. The young actor was set to debut as Rocky in Rocky Horror Picture Show on Friday at the Henry Strader Theater. Many of the cast and crew have not heard yet because they were busy at school or work, she said Friday afternoon. We'll have to tell them when they arrive for rehearsal, and it's going to be a sad night. Kolke worked at Derailed Poorhouse, Martinez said.
The Cortez Journal and Durango Herald report on the local ballot regarding judges. A Judicial Performance Commission has recommended 2 Southwest Colorado judges for retention. Judge Doug Walker of the 22nd Judicial District and Judge E. Dale Boyd of Dolores County both are standing for retention. Both judges received unanimous recommendations from the 9-member 22nd District Commission on Judicial Performance, according to reports from the State Office of Judicial Performance. The 22nd Judicial District includes Montezuma and Dolores counties. Walker practiced law in the Four Corners area as a private attorney before serving as district magistrate for the 22nd and 6th Judicial Districts from 1997 to 2007. He was appointed as district court judge in August of 2007. He graduated from the University of Colorado School of Law in 1979. The State Judicial Performance Office conducted a survey of 38 people who had worked with Walker in court, including attorneys, jurors, and others. On a 4-point scale, with 4 being the highest score, Walker received an average score of 3.34 among all survey respondents. However, attorneys rated his performance much lower than jurors and non-attorneys. 10 attorneys completed surveys and only 4 recommended Walker to be retained, according to the report. Attorneys judged Walker on 9 criteria, including case management, law knowledge, and bias, for an average score of 2.20. Out of 28 non-attorneys and jurors surveyed, 93% recommended Walker to be retained for an average score of 3.75. Boyd was appointed as Dolores County Court Judge in 2005. He also serves as municipal judge for Dove Creek. He graduated from New Mexico State University in 1970 with an agricultural science degree. For Boyd's performance report, 12 people were surveyed for an average score of 3.47. No jurors were surveyed as part of the report. 3 of the 4 attorneys surveyed recommended Boyd be retained with an average score of 2.98. In the 6th Judicial District, including Archuleta, San Juan, and La Plata counties, Judges Jeffrey Wilson and William Herringer also are standing for retention. They both received unanimous recommendations for retention from a 10-member commission. In Colorado, judges are almost always retained. Since retention elections began in 1990, judicial review commissions have recommended 97.5% of judges be retained, and Colorado voters have retained 99.2% of them. The retention system is used rather than traditional elections as a means of removing politics and campaigning from the judicial process. Under the Colorado Code of Judicial Conduct, judges are prohibited from campaign activity unless there is active opposition to his or her retention. Voters will answer a yes or no ballot question on whether or not the judges should be retained. If retained, district court judges will serve 6-year terms before they must stand for retention once again. There are no term limits.
According to the Durango Herald, in August, the Bureau of Land Management released a 1,000-page proposal to increase protection for grouse that could limit development and activities on public lands. The BLM manages 40% of Gunnison sage-grouse habitat. It is estimated that only 5,000 of the ground-dwelling birds remain, with 4,000 in the Gunnison Basin. The rest are scattered in satellite populations around Dove Creek and Monticello, Utah. Occupied habitat includes private and federal lands. During a public meeting on the plan in Dove Creek last week, farmers, ranchers, and local officials urged the BLM to work with them on ways to improve the grouse's chances for long-term survival. Julie Keibel, a Dolores County commissioner, said cooperation is needed for an effective solution because the bird's sagebrush habitat overlaps private and public lands. She said advice on habitat improvement is needed, such as where and how to improve water access for the bird, sagebrush range improvement, predator control, and where removing pinyon juniper forests could help the bird. Alternatives in the plan propose new buffer zones for the bird's lek, a clearing where male birds dramatically strut and display plumage to attract females and mate. Hens nest within a 4-mile range of the lek. The commotion of roads and nearby oil and gas development can disturb sage-grouse, officials said. Alternative B in the plan proposes a 4-mile buffer for development, and Alternative C proposes a 1-mile buffer. But Alternative D, the BLM's preferred plan, puts the lek buffer at 0.6 miles. Dove Creek resident David Kressler said studies are needed on the possible benefit of some development for the sage-grouse. The birds like the activity because it keeps predators like coyotes and birds away, just the way deer come to town because there are no predators, he said. The buffer restrictions for leks do not apply to grazing, said Bridget Clayton, BLM's Colorado sage-grouse coordinator. If leks or nests are within a BLM grazing allotment, the permit could be adjusted to include more fencing or pasture rotation to avoid bird impacts. Timing limitations could be implemented to restrict activity around nesting sites between May and July.
The Cortez Journal reported on the debate between 3rd Congressional District Representative Scott Tipton, Republican, and challenger Democrat Gail Schwartz. 3rd Congressional District Representative Scott Tipton and his challenger Gail Schwartz argued about public lands, renewable energy, and other issues before a sparse crowd at Hogue Hall on the Colorado State University Pueblo campus last Thursday night. Tipton, a 3-term Republican, defended his record over 6 years when Schwartz accused him of doing nothing and quietly leaving 2 key congressional committees to serve on the Financial Services Committee. She said, "You left Natural Resources and Agriculture committees critical to the 3rd District." In turn, he accused Democrat Schwartz of causing the loss of 1,100 mining jobs in the 3rd Congressional District in 2010 when, as a state senator, she helped pass a renewable energy bill. Schwartz said the bill, SB 252, has actually spurred $3.6 billion in economic activity and renewable energy, which will save consumers $400 million in the next 25 years. Tipton continued to hammer at that law. Union members have to take a look at her record, he said. The University of Colorado and the Denver Post agreed she has killed 1,100 plus coal jobs. That bill did not have bipartisan support, not in committee, not in the House, he said. If you are a union member, remember what she told those coal miners, that she would stand up for them. He also said that Schwartz did not support the construction of the Keystone Pipeline, which would have helped union members in Pueblo. 252 didn't choke any jobs, Schwartz said, returning to the coal argument. The natural gas industry and the free market is what created the impasse in our coal industry. With Chieftain managing editor Steve Henson acting as moderator, the two sparred back and forth over those policies and what Tipton called a lie, with Schwartz's contention that Tipton is systematically selling off public lands so energy companies can explore them. Schwartz repeated her contention that Tipton's bills are a pattern of forcing the lands into state hands, and when states can't afford the land, they will sell it to fossil fuel energy interests, a large contributor to Tipton, she said. Schwartz said Tipton is part of a do-nothing Congress and promised in 2010, 2012, and 2014 to represent the 3rd District. I know I don't feel represented. Tipton reminded the audience, made up mostly of Schwartz's supporters, that there are 2 houses of Congress and that the House of Representatives passed 691 bills, 11 of which he sponsored and 4 that became law. They all had bipartisan support, he said of his bills. Schwartz said Tipton has done nothing to enhance conditions for workers in the district, who constantly say they never see Scott Tipton in the district. Let's support American steel and stand up for fair trade deals, unlike the Trans-Pacific Partnership that benefit Americans, she said. Let's invest in roads and expand broadband. Schwartz said Tipton voted to close down the government and voted repeatedly to repeal the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. Tipton said that the act was not affordable and that some people were paying premiums that virtually amounted to another mortgage, not to mention deductibles and copays. The debate will be settled when all the votes are counted by the November 8th election date.
Way to celebrate the relief of voting in this year's long-winded, divisive election than posting online a photo of your face in front of a freshly filled-out ballot for your friends to see. Well, Denver District Attorney Mitch Morrissey on Thursday reminded Colorado residents ballot selfies are illegal in Colorado and technically considered a misdemeanor. In any event, according to a Colorado statute, no voter shall show his ballot after it is prepared for voting to any person in such a way as to reveal its contents. Though the law was written well before the age of social media, Lynn Kemper, communications director with the Denver District Attorney's Office, said pictures posted online that include completed ballots would violate the statute originally intended to protect against voter fraud and ensure voter privacy. No one in the state of Colorado has ever been prosecuted for the offense, said Kimbrough, and the Colorado legislature the past 2 years tried to change the law. I was appalled, Representative Paul Rosenthal, Democrat of Denver, said of learning about the statute when he himself put a photo online of his ballot and was told by a friend to take it down lest he face prosecution. Rosenthal said the law was written in a time when the mob, the Ku Klux Klan, and one's employer pressured individuals into voting a certain way. Those days are over, Rosenthal said. Taking a picture of your ballot and putting it on Facebook is your U.S. constitutional right to speak as you wish, and the Colorado Constitution goes further and says you have a right to publish. Yet his fellow politicians, citing concerns over the risk of a person selling off votes, have continually voted down the measure. Fewer than 20 states have an outright ban on the practice of ballot selfies. Recently, in 2 states, courts have decided that the act is within a person's constitutional right and have overturned any measures that disallow the practice. And now here's our weather report.
It looks like the chances for rain for our area will be greater later tonight and through much of Tuesday as that pattern of moisture all behind the low front to our west moves east into our area. Then that pattern will clear out of the area by Wednesday for a return to warm, clear, and dry weather for the rest of the week at this point. Nationally, the West Coast has been experiencing brutal high and dry temperatures, sending out red flag warnings and strong wind warnings for much of Northern California. The low front is cutting horizontally across the nation, separated by two strong high-pressure areas to the north and south. From the upper Midwest to the New England region, there are still lingering rains taking down what was left of the gorgeous fall foliage displays. Our 5-day forecast for the local DCTV outlook shows that chances of scattered thunderstorms are ramping up to over 50% late tonight and into Tuesday, and then the temps remain in the high 60s to 70 for the daytimes and warmer evenings than we have had, with lows in the upper 30s for the next 5 days. And now back to the news, Kelsey.
According to the Cortez Journal, federal wildlife officials are now under a court order to update a decades-old recovery plan for the endangered Mexican gray wolf, a predator that has struggled to regain a foothold in the American Southwest despite millions of dollars of investment in reintroduction efforts. An Arizona judge on Tuesday dismissed the concerns of ranchers and others and signed off on a settlement between environmental groups and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Under the agreement, the federal agency must update the recovery plan by November 2017 while providing the court and other parties in the case with regular updates on the planning process. Environmentalists have long argued that the agency had a legal obligation to adopt a recovery plan that spells out specific goals and milestones for returning the wolves to their historic range. There are currently about 100 wolves in the wild in New Mexico and Arizona. This is official, said Brian Bird of the group Defenders of Wildlife. We'll have the best available science, and hopefully the Fish and Wildlife Service will move toward increasing the number of wolves in the wild. The Fish and Wildlife Service said Tuesday that the new plan will be published by the deadline. Recovery of the Mexican wolf remains our goal. We aim to support natural wild wolf population growth and improve population genetics, eventually leading to species recovery and state management of the species, the agency said in a statement. Blair Dunn, an attorney for opponents of the settlement, said he was disappointed with the ruling and accused the federal government of catering to special interest groups. The wolf recovery program, which spans parts of New Mexico and Arizona, has been hampered over the years by legal battles, politics, and other issues. Environmentalists have pushed for the release of more captive wolves into the wild, but ranchers and local leaders have protested over concerns about livestock losses and public safety in rural communities.
Reported in the Cortez Journal, Utah State auctioned off 391 acres at Comridge to the Lyman family farm for $500,000, according to Utah State Institutional Trust Lands Administration, reported last week. The area is along the archaeologically significant Comridge, about 40 miles west of Dove Creek in San Juan County, Utah. According to conservation groups Friends of Cedar Mesa, the parcel now is the only privately owned section of the ridge, an 80-mile sandstone monocline stretching from northern Arizona to the Abajo Mountains. Money from the sale will benefit Utah schools, Sitla said. Joss Ewing, executive director of Friends of Cedar Mesa, said, "It's a beautiful place that should be protected permanently, but now it's private. Locals in Bluff use the area as a backyard park," Ewing said. Utah Highway 163 runs along the southern edge and makes the parcel accessible. People in Bluff go out to the area after work for a hike up the ridge. The parcel, like much of the area, is archaeologically significant because ancestral Pueblans occupied the area centuries ago. Many Bluff residents had opposed the sale. Ewing said he was not sure of the intentions of the buyers. The Utah Department of Commerce website lists a South Jordan, Utah address for Lyman Family Farm with agent Joseph Hunt. The company was registered in June of 2014 and is classified as a vegetable and melon farming operation, according to the North American Industry Classification System. Hunt also is president of Air Medical Resource Group, a South Jordan-based air medical services provider, according to that group's website. The South Jordan address listed for Lyman Family Farm is is the same address listed for Air Medical Resource Group. The parcel is within the 1.9 million acre area of the proposed Bears Ears National Monument. A tribal coalition has urged President Barack Obama to use his authority under the Antiquities Act to declare the area a monument to protect the cultural and archaeological resources in the area. However, the Antiquities Act does not extend to private property. Any owner of private land within the monument's boundaries would retain their land if Obama declares the area a national monument. At the Sitla auction last Wednesday in Salt Lake City, the agency sold more than 3,600 acres of land in 7 counties for a total of more than $6.2 million, according to the agency's website. Lyman Family Farm also bought a parcel in Cave Valley, just west of Zion National Park, for $1.7 million, according to the site. Legislatures across the country, including Utah representatives, have called for a transfer of federal lands back to the states. Ewing said that this Sitla sale is a cautionary tale of what such a lands transfer might look like.
According to the Cortez Journal, Kemper Elementary spent 5 years with the lowest state accreditation rating turnaround. This year, parents, teachers, and administrators turned it around in a big way, jumping from the lowest level to the performance rating, the highest rating an individual school can achieve. Hockness, now in his second year at Kemper, attributed the improvement mostly to a team of teacher leaders, including Kristen Singleton, Sandra Jawberg, Kelly Comiskey, Pam Gosh, Teresa Grouse, and Debbie Garner. The group spearheaded the effort to improve student test scores and change the culture and climate at the school in order to improve the rating. The entire Montezuma-Cortez RE1 district has been rated as priority improvement, but is appealing that rating. The highest rating for a district is an accreditation with distinction. Comiskey, who teaches 4th grade, said having the same staff over the last few years was helpful. Singleton, a 1st grade teacher, said students and teachers felt empowered and motivated to achieve their goals. For the past 2 years, University of Virginia personnel have worked with Kemper staff on a school turnaround program. This year, the school has entered a 3rd year of the UVA program, which focuses on sustaining the positive practices the school has implemented.
Monday's marijuana moment. CNN is reporting on current pot percentages being much higher than during the hippie days. More than 2 years after Colorado began selling marijuana for recreational use, cannabis consumers have access to pot that is more potent than ever, according to an article released by CNN's Health Division. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of different strains among thousands of plants grown legally under bright lights and fans in giant warehouses across the state. Medicine Man Marijuana CEO Andy Williams said of his company, "I think we're the best industrial growers of cannabis in the world." Williams owns a high-tech cannabis grow facility. He gave CNN a glimpse inside one section of it, a 12,000 square foot operation with machines that regulate temperature and humidity and filter the air to create the best environment for fine-tuning cannabis concoctions. While we don't go genetic engineering here, we're constantly looking for better genetics. That means good, big, and fast. So it's been a constant evolution of our genetics over time, Williams said. Levels of THC, marijuana's psychoactive component, vary from strain to strain, ranging from 6% THC in their Canatsu to 28% THC content in Williams' Screaming Gorilla. It's one product that's fairly old-fashioned compared to the hundreds that all these manufacturers and growers in Colorado are currently creating, said Dr. Kari Franson, a clinical pharmacologist and pharmacist at the University of Colorado Skaggs School of Pharmacy. In 2012, Colorado and Washington became the first states to legalize recreational marijuana, with Colorado implementing it first. There are currently no regulations in Colorado limiting THC levels. Earlier this year, some Colorado state legislators proposed an amendment to limit THC to 16% in marijuana and marijuana products sold in the state. Proponents expressed concerns about the effects of THC on adolescent brains, among other health and safety issues, even though it is already illegal for those under 21 to partake. But their effort to set a THC limit failed to get enough support. Marijuana industry insiders say setting a limit could fuel the black market. Williams likened it to the end of prohibition of alcohol. Colorado state regulators do require recreational marijuana to be tested for potency at third-party state licensed laboratories for labeling. The biggest issue is protecting the public's health and safety and making sure this industry is based on sound, accurate science, said J.J. Slatkin, Director of Business Development at TEQ Analytical Laboratories. TEQ has tested more than 100 different strains from more than 24 clients, Slatkin said. His lab tests marijuana flower, concentrates, and pot-infused products such as edibles. While the tests measure potency of 5 different cannabinoids or components of the plant, THC is the cannabinoid connected to making people feel, quote, high. Slatkin pulled up a recent test report showing a flower with about 32% total THC, acknowledging that it's one of the highest THC levels he's seen in tests at TAQ. CMT Laboratories, another state-licensed testing facility, reported test results with THC content as high as 28%. Nationwide, the average THC content found in confiscated marijuana has dramatically increased in just the last couple of decades. In the early 1990s, the average THC content in confiscated cannabis samples was roughly 3.7% for marijuana, according to the NIH National Institute of Health on Drug Abuse. In 2013, it was 9.6%. Another study that analyzed samples from pot seized by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration from 1995 to 2014 also showed an increase in potency of illicit cannabis plant material from 4% THC content in 95 to 12% in 2014, which is still far below what marijuana testing facilities are finding in Colorado and other states where recreational marijuana is sold. These increasingly potent strains hit inexperienced users hard. Data analyzed by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment found that emergency room visits for marijuana-related incidents increased 29% from the years just before commercialization to 2014 through mid-2015. Another study found that for Colorado residents, marijuana-related ER visits rose from 70 per 10,000 in 2012 to 101 per 10,000 in 2014, a 44% increase, yet still relatively low. While those numbers can't be attributed solely to highly potent pot, Franson believes that's part of it for those few who unfortunately take too much in and have an adverse effect. These people are getting so anxious and uncomfortable with how they feel. They sometimes have a feeling of impending doom and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. So they go to the emergency room and seek assistance. Franson said, of course, they don't die, but don't feel good. Marijuana users can also build a tolerance to THC, so higher potency can become necessary to achieve the desired effect over time, according to medical experts. However, Williams said THC potency is not the only focus for growers or consumers. Some people use pot to help relax, for pain relief, even to help energize. Different components of the marijuana plant can have different impacts. For example, Williams said some of his customers prefer a pot product with higher concentrations of CBD, another cannabinoid believed to help treat epilepsy and other serious conditions. Williams said he remains focused on growing the best variety to meet different needs. Having that range of products that has great flavor, that has great effect, that's repeatable and consistent for our consumers is what our goal is.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of October 17th through the 23rd. A deputy assisted after reports of concern over a friend's well-being. Received a report of a personal locator beacon going off in the Groundhog area. A Dolores County deputy and search and rescue responded. Upon arrival, it was found that the beacon had accidentally been turned on. While on patrol in town, a deputy noticed a dog at large. The deputy returned the dog to its home. That's it for today's Roundup. Stay tuned for more updates this week.
For today's High Country happenings, it's sure to be a with all the creepy Halloween-related events being held. Durango Nursery and Supply will hold its annual Harvest Fest from noon to 5 p.m. October 29th at 271 KC Lane off of La Posta Road. The event is free and it will feature live music from Bob's Your Uncle, a barbecue, scary-themed desserts, kids' activities, a dog costume contest, and a scarecrow stroll. Proceeds will benefit local charities. For more information, visit durangonursery.com or call 259-8800. For the 2016 Best of Montezuma County contest, the ballots have been counted and the stage is set for the annual awards party set for Thursday, October 27th at the Sunflower Theater at Main and Market Streets in downtown Cortez. Doors open at 5:45 p.m. with appetizers, beer, and wine until 7 p.m. There's limited seating available. A list of winners will also be printed in the Journal on October 28th. The Journal's annual contest drew about 30,000 votes for the best businesses in the county from categories such as automotive, food and dining, legal, financial and real estate services, wellness, shopping and entertainment, and professional/other services. There also was a category for best new business. Four Corners Film Commission is holding a casting call looking for PAs and people ages 18 and older that look younger than 18. For more about the film, visit https://shootinginvain.com. And in Cortez, the Pinion Project Spooktacular 5K Fun Run and Walk will be held from 9 to 11 a.m. Saturday, October 29th. The Pinion Project is at 212 West Montezuma Avenue. Registration fees are $30 for an adult and $15 for 12 years of age and under. Register at pinionproject.org. For details, you can email kproctor@pinionproject.org or call 970-564-1195. And all of these happenings and original news stories are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays of the live show and the exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. If you have an event, you can email us, dcbnnews@gmail.com, or call the station at 677-4119, and we'll be sure to get it on air.
Thanks. Thanks for tuning in. We are live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m., and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 p.m. each day, respectively.
You can share this with a friend and watch the broadcast replayed on YouTube and now featured on the Facebook page. Thank you for liking us there and for your comments. We'd love to hear your voice.
For Kendra Cook and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. We'll be back here again tomorrow.